This is my new gaming setup, and yes, it's also a desk setup. It's the cozy, epic, and completely over-the-top space that I've wanted to build for years. And here's the thing I want you to know going in. This build did not go smoothly. Like, at all. The design changed a few times, and I ended up redoing work I should have probably gotten right the first time. But I'm going to show you all of it. So go grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's enjoy the journey together. If you're new here, hi, I'm the guy behind Ideal Setup. I build aesthetic desk, gaming, and home setups, so you can borrow the parts that you like for your own setups. Oh, and everything you see in this build is linked down in the description below, so if anything catches your eye, it's just one click away. Now, with that out of the way, let's get this party started. So let's start off by going over what I'm actually building here and why. I wanted a space in my office that could do 3 very specific things. 1, an epic console gaming setup. The kind where you sit back, the room goes dark, and the only thing in your world is the screen. 2, a music listening setup. Because I've been getting back into collecting CDs again lately, and I wanted somewhere nice to actually enjoy them. And 3, it has to be a desk setup I can work from as well, because it needs to be functional and earn its keep. This is what this side of the room looked like when I started. An empty wall with no personality. A space I basically forgot about until now. I had a vision of bringing some wood tones back into the space, making it feel cozy and natural, but also giving it a wow factor without it feeling like I was trying too hard. And I wanted somewhere to display some of my favorite CDs and the little collectibles that mean so much to me. Before I touched a single thing in this room, I mocked it up in Photoshop. I wanted a big epic TV, a clean walnut entertainment console, speakers on stands. Modern, yet simple. I thought this would be a pretty straightforward build, but this actually ended up just being my starting point. The first job was to paint. I went with a dark, moody color for the main wall and the side wall with the door. I taped everything off, prepped the room, and rolled out a drop cloth. Then I got started. I spent an entire afternoon doing 2 coats on these walls. By the way, this entire afternoon, completely wasted. You'll find out why a little later. Once the paint was dry, I measured out the wall to find the exact center point. So I marked it up with blue tape because everything else in this setup would be measured from this point. Like this entertainment console. Since this thing is kind of a pain to move solo, I called in a couple of friends to help me move it. And the console itself, I found on Amazon. And I have a lot to say about it later in the video. Like, a lot.
Wait, is this the stand you're putting it on?
Yeah.
Ah.
But with the console in place, it was time to go pick up the most important piece of the entire setup. So I grabbed my keys, hopped in the truck, and headed out for a little trip. So I'm on the way right now to make what is probably not the best and most responsible adult decision, but it's got to get done. All right, here we go. Sweet.
How you doing?
Good, how about you?
Good. Just going for you?
Oh, yeah. It's so good. I know what you're thinking. I probably should have gone for the regular size. I would have saved some money there, but oh well. What are you gonna do? Oh yeah, also, while I was at Best Buy, I picked up a TV for the setup. This is the LG G5 OLED. And in order to make up for my poor financial decision here, make a smarter decision for the next step, I'm going to get Best Buy to install it so me and my friends don't botch the job. The G5 comes with a flush wall mount, but I went with a standard one that lets me pull the TV away from the wall. It would give me more flexibility and access behind the screen for managing cables and for the accessory that would come after the install. These guys were pros. They took precise measurements, levels, the whole thing. While one of them got the wall ready, the other one was prepping the TV itself. But about 20 minutes in, and we hit the first problem. I wanted to run the cables through the wall for a clean install, but this is an exterior wall, and the insulation foam back there is way too thick to fish anything through it. So the in-wall solution wouldn't work here, which meant I was going to need to figure out another way to hide the cables later. So I'm super happy with the way the wall mounting turned out. Geek Squad did an awesome job. Everything is perfectly level, perfectly centered, and it's at the height that I requested, which should be the perfect ergonomic height for me. So when I'm sitting down, my eyes will be hitting the dead center of the TV, which won't strain my neck. If it was too high, that might hurt a bit, but probably the worst thing if you mount your TV too high is the Reddit group, "Our TV Too High?" is gonna make fun of you to no end. So that should be incentive enough to make sure you always set your TVs at the perfect height if it's possible. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I have not taken the screen protector off just yet. I need to do one more step before I do that. This is the Gobi TV Backlight 3 Pro. It's the upgraded version of their backlight system that uses 3 small cameras to read what's on the screen and project ambient matching colors behind the TV. I've used their older versions before, and I figured I'd give this new model a shot. The installation was pretty straightforward. You clean the back of the TV first because the strips are adhesive and you want them to stick on right the first time. Then you peel and stick the strips along all 4 sides of the TV. Ooh, here it is. The best part. 1, 2. Oh. This thing is so big. Oh, yes. Oh, look at you. That felt good too. Next, I mounted the camera on the top center of the TV. This is essentially the eye that's going to read what's on the screen. Then you put these little calibration squares on the screen so that the software can map the display. It's a one-time thing and only takes a couple of minutes. And at this point, I couldn't wait anymore. I needed to see this thing in action. This is the LG G5 77-inch OLED, and the reason there is no screen better than OLED is right here in front of you. Every pixel lights up individually, which means when the screen shows black, the pixel is actually off, making a true black. The contrast that you get on an OLED is unreal. Plus, this is the G5, LG's flagship model, making it the brightest OLED they offer. Then you add the Ambient TV backlight, and it really immerses you into whatever you're watching, making movies feel bigger and games feel deeper. Plus, it would give the space a super chill vibe even when I wasn't using the TV. So now with some of the key components in place, I'm starting to get a feel for what everything is looking like together, at least like the main pieces, and I wanted to get back to talking about this entertainment console. I got this thing on Amazon. I looked through a bunch of them. This thing is gorgeous. This is like a walnut veneer, it matches everything really well, and you know, it's got all the storage you need. It looks exactly like the pictures, it's the right size, everything about it is perfect. Except for one thing. Putting this thing together was an absolute nightmare. I have built so much furniture over the years, I consider myself pretty good at it, and this thing, oh. The instructions that came with it were absolutely terrible. It seemed straightforward, I figured it can't be too bad, it's all rectangles and squares, right? But no, all the screw holes were like in different spots, and I spent like 3 hours doing this probably. It turned into like a Resident Evil puzzle where you're just basically giving up and you're trying every combination until it works. But I love the way it looks. I'm gonna link it in the description below. Just wanted to share my thoughts on that if you were interested in this thing. That is the one negative to it. Other than that, it looks beautiful.
2 hours later.
All right, so here's where I'm at with this. I like the way it's coming out. I envisioned it basically kind of like this. I got to put the shelves back up that I had up top that I took down before painting. I didn't want a busy background or anything too light or distracting, because when I watch things or I play games, I like to focus. I don't want my eyes to be distracted. The ambient lights was supposed to be like the only fun distraction that I would have from the screen if I wanted, but I feel like it's missing something. I start out with an idea, but then it needs more, because a lot of things you're not gonna see, or you're not gonna be able to see how you like until you see it put together in person. So let's get to it. It was time to keep redesigning the setup. I took a picture of where the setup was at, and at first I considered vertical wood slats, but I quickly scratched that idea. Slat walls have been everywhere in the setup space for the last few years, but I had already done something similar in my previous setup, and honestly, I thought it would look kind of busy and a bit distracting. I wanted something that was bold but quiet, something that could catch the light but not fight it for attention. Then I started thinking, what if there was something I could use that looked like a cave wall? Something organic and textural that would work with the walnut, feeling both natural yet modern. I found these black rock wall panels on Amazon, and right away I knew I wanted to see what they would look like in this setup. So after a few iterations, I came up with this design. And looking at it on my screen, it got me excited about this build again, and I knew I needed to try and make this work. So, the rock wall was happening, which also meant all the painting I had done on the main wall was about to become irrelevant. But, oh well. The boxes arrived pretty quickly and it was time to get started. These are the Casoro rock wall panels. I picked them because they had solid reviews and they were pretty affordable. I think I spent around $350-ish on the entire wall, which for a textural wall surface this big is genuinely a good deal. But the moment I unboxed them, I ran into a new problem. So these are not what I expected color-wise, but the texture looks awesome. They even have like a cool pattern that all like connects, and it's 4 of these per box, so I think I have enough to get the wall and in between the shelves. But yeah, I'm gonna have to another step I didn't account for, which was more painting. I expected some touch-ups, but not a whole wall again. But either way, I'm gonna paint these flat black, and they're gonna look probably how I want them to look. I laid the panels out in the garage, hit them with 1 coat, let them dry, and gave them a second pass on a few spots to make sure the coverage was even. Flat black, by the way, was the right call here. Anything with any sheen would have killed the texture. Flat absorbs the light, which lets the shape of the rock panels come through. While the paint dried on the rock panels, I moved on to the shelves. There's 2 reasons I wanted shelves up over the TV. 1, I needed a place to display my CDs and a few collectibles. And 2, the ceiling in this part of the room is actually not level. It dips slightly towards one corner. The shelves give me a clean horizontal line up top that helps hide that ceiling issue. First, I put the top floating shelves back on. These were from IKEA, by the way. Then, I began installing the next set of shelves, the ones that would make up the lower floating shelf. I picked up this affordable laser level on Amazon, and it made my life way easier during the install. If you're doing any kind of work that needs to be perfectly level, get one of these. While installing the shelves, I made sure to anchor them into the studs, and then I threw in a ton of extra screws just to be safe. These were going to be up over basically a $4,000 TV, so the last thing I wanted was anything dropping onto that screen. The second shelf needed to be cut down to fit, so I measured it and took it to the garage where my miter saw was. Then taped the cut line for a cleaner edge and made the cut. Two in. Come on. Yeah. Woo! The two shelves would create one large shelf to display things on, and the wall they were on was about to get a major glow up. With that out of the way and done for now, back to the rock panels. A big chunk of them are now officially dry and done, so I'm super excited to get these up. This is what I thought they would look like when I ordered them online, so glad that's out of the way now and get to the fun part, which is putting them up. Hey, real quick, if you're enjoying this video so far, do me a favor and hit that like button. And if you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel if you love setups. Also, YouTube just added this new hype button, so if you're feeling generous, hook it up with some hypes. It'll help this video reach more people, and it'll really help the channel. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get back to the build. With the paint dry and the color just right, the texture was looking awesome up close. It was finally time to get these panels up on the wall. I cleaned the area, set up the laser level for my reference line, and got my tools laid out. I'd be using liquid nails for the adhesive, and a nail gun loaded with some thin finished nails for the mechanical hold. The instructions recommended using an adhesive, so I started with that. I put some liquid nail on the back of the first panel, pressed it firm against the wall, and placed a few nails to lock it into place while the adhesive cures. Now, for the second panel, I had to measure and cut it to fit the space above the first one. After I made the cut, I held it up for the test fit. And then, just on a whim, I decided to nail it in first to see if it would hold without the liquid nail. And guess what? It worked. Perfectly. Turns out the nail gun alone was more than enough. And if I ever needed to remove the panels, it would just be as easy as pulling them right off. Which means the entire liquid nail step on the first panel was completely unnecessary. And if I ever tried to remove the first panel, it would rip out the drywall. Awesome. Oh, and I have all this extra liquid nail for no reason. The next panel needed a cutout for the electrical outlet. Now, the right way to do this is to measure precisely, mark your lines, double check, and then cut. The way I did it? I held the panel up to the wall, I used the laser level to draw rough lines straight onto the panel where the outlet would be, and made the cut without measuring. Was this smart? No. Was I curious to see if it would work? Yes. The result wasn't perfect, and the cut was a bit jank, but the entertainment console is going to sit right in front of this section, so you're never really going to see it anyways. We'll call it a win and move on. This next bottom panel was the important one. The cables from the TV had to run down through this section of the wall, and I needed to leave a channel for them. So I've got the channel, so maybe I can cut out a section that's just about this thick. So I've outlined here about the thickness of the channel. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this here and maybe cut this with a saw. I kept this off-cut piece since I had an idea of how to use it later, because the cleanest way to hide the cable channel is to make the cover itself look like it's part of the wall. Same texture, same color, just sitting on top of the channel. But I needed some time to refine that plan, so I put that off for later. The next base panel had another outlet, and I measured it this time, properly and carefully, with actual numbers. Mostly to prove to you, and to prove to myself, that I do in fact know how to do this the right way. The cut was much cleaner and it was mostly straight. So the panel went up and that little redemption arc felt great. Nice. From there it was just a rhythm. Measure, cut, nail, repeat. And once the main wall was done, I continued the rock panels in between the two floating shelves above. That little detail would make that wall feel intentional, and like the shelves are going through the rock. After that, I cleaned the entire area again to prep for what was coming next. With the wall basically done, it was time to get back to that cable channel idea. I started by painting the channel the same flat black as the rock panels, and I placed two short pieces of an actual cable channel at the top and the bottom to act as guides for the cables to run through. Then I grabbed the off-cut piece I saved from earlier and started thinning it out with a small hacksaw. The goal was to shave it down as much as I could so it would fit nearly flush with the rest of the wall, but still cover the channel completely. It took a while and a lot of test fitting, but it finally came out pretty close to how I imagined it. So for the cover I'm using for the cables over here, I got this little Velcro strap dicky pads that came with the cable management kit. I put them at the top and the bottom, and then I put here on the two sides of the top and the bottom. I can literally just strap it on and it should hold it in place, and it'll be super easy to remove. So check this out. All right, so as you can see, I'm gonna bring it up here and then just grab this little tab with the Velcro end. And bam, that's got the top. For the bottom, I've got two here. So I've got one to tighten it here and one to tighten it there. There we go. And if I ever need to access the cables again and change something out, pull off the tab, pull off this tab, comes right out, get full access, do what I gotta do, and then bring it back in. Line up, drop in place, strap in. Done. With that problem solved, it was time to start hooking some things up. I ran the main cables down through the channel and plugged everything into the 2 surge protectors in the lower center of the media console. Start setting down. Next up was the PS5 Pro, which is white, and I think it looks good in white. But it was going to be standing vertically right next to the TV, and a bright white console next to a giant OLED screen is a visual distraction for me. So I picked up these third-party matte black panels from Amazon, and they were super cheap and super easy to swap in. I also found a cheaper third-party vertical stand that works just as well as Sony's official one, and looks almost identical to it too. All in all, easy upgrade. And damn, the PS5 Pro looks sick in a matte black finish. Now, for the last big piece of this phase, the speakers. Let's get this plugged in. These are banana cables, so it's nice that you could just slot these in, plug them in. With this part wrapped up, it was time for the next major phase of the build. The one I had been most excited about since the beginning of this final design. The ambient lighting. The setup was looking good, but lighting is what turns a setup into a setup. And on a textural wall like this one, I had a feeling the lighting was going to do something really special. I went with the Govee Strip Light 2 Pros at various lengths. The reason is that I know their products pretty well and a lot of their lights can be synced together. So the TV backlight, the strips around the room, and the lights in my office studio can all run on the same color scheme. I started with a quick test run between the 2 top shelves to see if the lighting was going to do exactly what I imagined. And it did. Alright, that's looking pretty cool. Let's hit the lights. The light grazes across the rock wall and gives it a texture I could not have lit any other way. This was the moment I knew the whole rock wall decision had paid off. But then, I made another mistake I could have avoided if I had just slowed down and really thought this part through. I stuck the first strip onto the shelf and pressed it all the way down. Then cut the end at the cut point to match the length of the shelf. Done. I think I saw a little bit of a spark there. Maybe I should not have had it on while I was cutting it, but oh well. Now I know. Next, I drilled holes in the corners of the shelves to run the cables through, which would let me keep the wires hidden and clean. Then, I decided to tackle another not so well thought out problem that I had left for later. The shelves are made up of 2 pieces each, doubled up for length, and there was a visible seam where they joined. I found this black-brown stick-on wrap on Amazon that was meant to match the IKEA floating shelves, And while it was close, it was not quite right. So I darkened the strips with a black marker and applied them over the seam. And from any normal distance, you probably wouldn't even notice it, especially when the office lights were toned down. Honestly, if I had the tools and knowledge at home to make custom length floating shelves at the start, I would have done just that and skipped this whole step. But I don't, and paying someone to do it would have blown the budget over even further. We work with what we have. This is what a realistic build actually looks like. Alright, this is what it's looking like. It's not the worst. Especially if I hit the lights, then you'll definitely won't really see them too much. After that, I made the exact same mistake with the next light. I stuck the next light strip on the underside of the shelf before checking how it would look, and immediately saw the problem. Since it's so high up, the individual LEDs were visible, and it looked cheap, so I needed a way to hide them. Back to Home Depot I went. I grabbed some L-shaped moldings for the job, and then needed to paint them a flat black. But the moldings had a smooth finish, so it needed 2 coats to look just right. Then I installed them under the shelf as a light channel, to help me hide the LEDs from view. Installation was tight, and I chose not to use my powered screw gun because the angle was too close to the rock wall and I did not want to slip and damage it. So I went manual and used a hand screwdriver, and it took forever and made for a very sore forearm. And while I was at it, I brought in a couple more L-shaped moldings and did the same thing to the top of the shelf. I probably could have just removed the top shelf and done the top half a lot easier, but I did not want to redo the seam alignment, so I just powered through it. After that, I moved over to the corner to hide the white light strip cables. I simply got a cable channel and cut it down to size, then installed it and ran the cables through it. So now with the really difficult lights done, I'm now going to focus on the rest of them. And what I'm thinking is, based off the rendering, I really like some glow down here. So what I went ahead and did is I plugged in another light. This one was a little bit smaller, a little bit actually, almost the width of this. And in the meantime, just to see what it looks like, I don't know if you can see, I just used some painter's tape to just hold it up to see if it gives me the look that I'm going for. So we're going to look at that next. Exactly how I pictured it. If I kill the lights, yeah, I like the glow. Very nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and place the light strip for real, and then we'll move on to just the final piece, which I think will be just like the back, very similar to what we did up top. We'll do at the bottom. You won't see most of it, but I kind of want like the even lighting coming up the rocks. And I think that might be it on the lighting. And then I took some time to take it in. This is what I've been looking for, and I was proud that I had conjured it into existence. And now with the end in sight, it was time for the last few finishing touches. I added some moldings around the door frame to the left and painted them the same color as the wall so it would blend in. If you're wondering what's behind the door, by the way, it's a tiny long utility closet with a water heater and water softener at the end of it. So nothing exciting and not a door I need to use very often. Looking at the full setup, I decided to complete the rock wall up top. Originally I wasn't going to, but I had enough leftover panel pieces to do it, and I had a leftover light strip extension. So I ordered one more strip to complete the length and ran it down the shelf. Once these were installed, the wall felt truly complete. Then, I decided I needed an Apple TV 4K streaming box, mainly because I wanted to actually use this as a desk setup too. And also, the newest, most expensive TV operating systems are still slow, cluttered, and full of annoying ads. The Apple TV OS is none of those things. It's fast, clean, and gets out of the way. But I didn't want another box visible on the console, so I 3D printed a mount that clips onto the TV's wall bracket. Making it completely invisible behind the TV, which is pretty cool. But more devices means more controllers, so I 3D printed a wall-mounted controller organizer to hold them all. Clean, easy to see, and easy to access. Next, I knew I wanted some smaller plants in the space, and one larger one in a big pot. I found this modern-looking one I really liked, but then I saw these light-up versions on Instagram that looked even better. Problem is, I was already well over my projected budget for this build, so I made my own version. I dropped another Govee light strip into the pot, sized it to fit, and cut it. And then I let the snake plant just sit inside. It didn't take long and looks very similar to the Instagram version. And yes, it's a fake plant, but there aren't any windows in this area and I'm not good at keeping them alive just yet. And now, for the last items we would need for the setup, would be the seating. When it's just me down here, I'm using the Libernova Omni SE ergonomic chair that I'm currently rocking my main desk setup. This was the one item that was sent over for me in this build that was for another video, and it ended up becoming my main office chair. The reason it works for this space specifically is the recline modes, along with what is possibly the most comfortable headrest in the game. But when my wife is down here or when some friends come over, I needed more seating. So I picked up these Togo-style foam couches from Amazon. I got a single seater with an ottoman and a two-person one, making them modular so that up to 3 people can sit at once if needed. They're also light enough that I can move them between this space and the next room over, which is a whole other project I'll share with you guys sometime later this year. And now, with all the final details in place and the setup finally feeling done, it was time to bring out the things that would truly make this space my own. It was time to decorate, which is one of the best parts of any setup build. So that was the build. I learned a ton doing this, and this setup does everything I wanted it to do. Console gaming feels enormous on my big, gorgeous OLED TV. Some of my CD collection favorites finally have a nice home, and the listening sessions hit different when the lighting is just right. And when I actually need to get work done, the desk setup is right here and becomes a very functional part of my office studio. Plus, as a side benefit, it's going to make for a pretty cool backdrop for future videos on this channel. Now, I really want to hear from you guys on this one. What do you think? Which detail in this build was your favorite part? And what would you have done differently in this setup? Drop it in the comments because I'll be reading them and responding to all of them. And remember, everything you saw in this build is linked in the description below. They're affiliate links and I get a small commission at no extra cost to you. And they help support the channel so that I can keep making cool builds like this one. If you made it this far, thank you so much for sticking with me through this entire video. And if you enjoyed this build, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that new hype button on the way out. Alright, that's it for this one. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.